I've been informed that we have a quorum, so the meeting will start, and it's now 7:20. Okay. Under Section 11 of the town meeting bylaws, and with the consent, I have designated that the visitors can be seated on this section to my left against the wall. So is anybody opposed to this? No? Okay. That is for visitors or non-residents of town. All right, let's see what we have. Could I ask that everybody stand? I've called the meeting to order. Can I ask that everybody stands for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first of all, I would like to give out a few rules. We have a short meeting, it's 5 articles, and it is so that we have a balanced budget for FY19 that starts in 12 days. Today, the 18th. So on 12 days, the rule of the Commonwealth is that every city and town needs to have a balanced budget by July 1st, and that's one of the reasons we're here tonight. I want to make sure that everybody here in the room has a copy of the warrant. If you don't, there are some outside. And I'm going to ask that if you're going to ask a question, please come to the front. Usually it's on this side, but they set it up differently. And stand over here, state your full name and address for the record, and please speak directly into the microphone so that we can all hear what you have to say. I have a basic 3-minute limit on anything in conversation for your questions. I don't want anybody to go into a dissertation. We're all here, we all know what the problem is and what the reasons we're here for, so we want to move this along. It may take a presentation maybe by the selectmen or the finance committee to be a little bit longer than the 3 minutes, but they're the ones that are presenting the articles to you. You can ask your questions and get your answers. If I hear a repeat of the same question, I will tell you that it's been asked and answered and ask you to sit down so that we can move forward with this. Now, are there any questions or anything regarding what I've just said? Everybody understands kind of the rules for tonight? Okay. And I guess my usual curfew for 11 o'clock, please, Lord, let us not be here that long tonight in this room. All right. Sue, would you start reading?
Town of Raleigh, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, warrant for special town meeting, June 18th, 2018.
Madam Moderator?
Yes.
I move to suspend further reading of the June 18th, 2018 special town meeting warrant because present town meeting members have a copy of this warrant.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, and everybody has a copy of the town meeting warrant to suspend the reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Article 2.
725.
Article 1.
It's Article 1. Oh.
Article 1.
Good.
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's mine. Madam Moderator, I move the town to vote to suspend in town meeting the application of Section 19 and Section 20 of the town meeting bylaws pertaining to the reconsideration of all money articles. Suspension intended for specific purpose to balance the total level of funds raised and appropriated within the limitations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 21C, Proposition 2.5 so-called, and to give blanket warning hereby that any money article may, at the end of the meeting, and after all articles have been acted upon, be moved for reconsideration in order to balance the total level of funds raised and appropriated within the limitations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 21C.
Second.
Okay. Article 1 has been moved in second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 2 is in order.
727.
Article 2. See if the town... Oh, I'm sorry.
Article 2, Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to amend the fiscal year 2019 operating budget by amending the following budget line items. Line 65, Police Department wages, $1,389,937. Line 71, firefighter wages, $243,280. Line 86, Tree Department expenses, $15,000. Triton Regional Assessment, line 99, $10,137,192. Line 105, Snow and Ice Removal expenses, $175,000. Line 107, Recycling expenses, $19,000. And to transfer and appropriate the sum of $139,809 from free cash, and to raise and appropriate $75,000 for a total amendment of $214,809, and for a grand total FY19 omnibus budget of $18,785,110 to defray the expenses of the town of Raleigh for the fiscal year 2019.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved in second. Finance Committee or the Selectmen first?
The Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Okay.
Madam Moderator, as an explanation, there is a lengthy explanation in your town warrant that explains everything. Just briefly, what I would like to do is go down to the box at the bottom of the first page where it says Amendment for Triton Assessment. It says Police Department, and this is the areas that we cut the budget in order to make up the money that we need to fund the Triton budget. Police Department wages, we cut $10,000, and the idea there is we were going to hire a sergeant July 1st. We're going to defer that until fall. Fire Department wages, $85,000. We were going to hire 2 full-time new additional firefighters to the fire department. We've deferred that hiring until probably March. On the following page, Tree Department expenses. We all know the condition of the trees in town. We appropriated at the annual or special before $50,000 for tree cutting. We added another $10,000 the tree department budget. At that budget, we're reducing that by $5,000. It's important that we still be able to cut these trees and reduce some of the dead trees. Snow and ice removal, every year we try to increase that by $20,000. This year we'll only increase it by $10,000. OPEB, which is a post-employment benefits for the retired town employees. The state requires that we fund some of that every year. It's probably a $5 or $6 million debt we have and most every other town in the Commonwealth has. We put whatever money we have available into that fund every year. We're reducing that by $25,000 for this budget. We're taking $50,000 out of the stabilization fund. At the annual town meeting, we put in $50,000. That's our rainy day fund for super duper emergencies, and when everything else fails, we take money out of the stabilization fund. So we reduced that by $50,000. The total FY19 town reduction to the fund to Triton revised assessment was $185,000. That's a reduction from what was appropriated, a reduction to fund Triton revised assessment. From free cash, we contributed an additional $129,319 to fund the Triton budget, and that makes the Triton revised assessment increase at $314,319. So Article 2 also funds a $10,000, $490 increase to the FY19 recycling expense budget. You people that may well be aware, some of you aren't, recycling has become a real problem in the Commonwealth and throughout the country. China is no longer accepting in bulk form all the recycling from this country, so we're going to have an increase in expenses. So we've added that money into the recycling budget, and then this year the Board of Selectmen is going to look at what the whole recycling program is going to entail for the next year's budget. It may be reduced, it may be eliminated, we don't know yet, but recycling, which used to actually pay us a little bit of money, is now an expense. So from additional free cash contribution is $10,490. Additional recycling expenses $10,490 for a total recycling budget of $19,000. And like I said, the total free cash is $139,809 that we're putting in from our free cash account.
Okay, it's been explained. Does anybody have any questions? Come forward, state your name and address, please. You're going to have to use that mic up there.
Charlie Norton, Ocean Avenue, Rowley. It seems a month ago we had a meeting here and we voted for everything and everything seemed to be fine. It has to balance the budget and everything seemed to be fine. Now we don't have the balanced budget. But the biggest expense I can see here is $314,000 going back to the school when we voted $200,000 to Triton. Now they come back, they want another $300,000. That's $500,000 extra when we told them we'd get them too. So sometimes departments have to live within their means. If they have to lay off teachers, some of them, they have to. It's a highway. If they don't have the money, they'll have to lay off people. You keep giving people money, then you take it away from them. You're not going to get what you expect. And if we get a heavy snowstorm and you take stuff away from the highway department, they're not going to plow the roads. So we've already had a budget, and there's really no need to be here because we had it in May. That's what I've got to say and the way I feel about it, and I want to thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Madam Moderator,
Yes.
just in response to this person's comments, I think we realize, the Board of Selectmen realizes, the Finance Committee realizes that we as a town and a Board of Selectmen have absolutely zero control over the Triton Regional School budget. Our only option is they give us a bill, they determine what the budget will be. Can you hear me now?
But lean into it a little bit more. You don't have my voice.
Just to repeat, repeat very briefly, Triton budget is put together totally independent of the town budget. In the spring, we get a bill from Triton after they approve their budget at the school committee meeting, telling us what we owe. Under state law, we have one choice. We either pass the budget or not pass the budget. At the annual town meeting, we gave Triton this past year's assessment plus $200,000. We had an extra cash. That left us short. That's when we put the override on the ballot. The ballot question didn't pass for $349,000, whatever that particular figure was. That means that because the school committee then went back and re-voted a new budget, which required us to still fund an increase to the budget. We are required under state law to do that. So what the Board of Selectmen did and the Finance Committee voted on also was to make some reductions in the town operating budget, put some money from free cash to equal and make up the Triton assessment. When 2 out of the 3 towns passed the budget, Salisbury, Newbury, and Rowley, Newbury's already passed it originally. Salisbury's waiting to see what we do. But if we pass this article tonight, we will fully fund the Triton budget for this year. And it's important we do that because if we don't, and 2 out of the 3 towns reject the budget. And I'll read you from a document that the Massachusetts Department of Secondary Education put out on regional school funding, and I quote, "If the operating budget for regional school districts has not been approved by July 1st, the superintendent of schools shall notify the commissioner," and the commissioner is the Commissioner of Education. "The commissioner shall establish an interim monthly budget for the regional school district and certify an amount sufficient for the operation of the district, which shall be 1/12 of the regional school district budget for the prior fiscal year, or such higher amounts as the commissioner may determine." The caveat there is, it's not one, if the Commissioner of Education, if anyone thinks that he's gonna, I think it's a he, is gonna support Rowley and cut the school budget down to what we want to approve at, I think they're not thinking straight. The commissioner has the right, he could assess the town on a 1/12 budget any amount he wants. He could actually go back to the original request that was turned down at the original town meeting in the original Prop 2.5 election. So it's important that we settle this now, settle it here, otherwise it takes the funding out of our hands and we'll put it in the hands of the State Department of Education, AKA the commissioner. And I don't think any one of us who's dealt with the state and state issues wants to do that. So our recommendation is that we vote tonight, vote to approve this budget and move on, because we're going to have a big budget issue next year too, but we need to settle this one now and move on.
Does anybody else have any questions? Yep, please come forward.
Sonia Vincola, Boxford Road. I was just wondering if the Selectmen and/or the Finance Committee could explain the justification for the $150,000 increase in police wages?
Police or fire?
Police.
Yeah, Madam Moderator?
Yep.
That includes a settlement of the collective bargaining contract when it goes back 2 years. This is the 3rd year, so that's where most of that money comes from, as well as some additional odds and ends of expenses, and a 2.5 increase for the non-union employees. And like I say, in the original budget, we put in for a sergeant to be hired July 1st. We are deferring that until later on in the fall or the first of the year to help make up the funds needed for this budget.
Okay, is there anybody else?
Madam Moderator?
Yeah, yes, let me have the Finance Committee first. Yes.
Larry White, Central Street. I'm the chairman of the Finance Committee, and as the chairman, we support the article. With a divergent view is myself. Yes, we voted for a budget. We voted against the override. We thought we were sending a message to the school committee. 9 people decided against the democratic process and decided to vote their own wishes as opposed to the 2 towns. They voted a budget that is above what we said we could afford, what Salisbury said they could afford. The school committee is not bound by Proposition 2.5, what the towns can afford, or any written agreements. If you think this budget is bad, then unless the school committee is constrained, my preliminary estimate for fiscal year 20 is that they will put in approximately $1.031 million in add-backs, the things that they said that they took away, and $1.365 million in budget increases, necessary cost of living increases, sped, everything else, for $2.396 million for fiscal year 20. That equates to an assessment of $787,000. Not for this year, but for next year. So unless the school committee is bound by 2.5, they're out of control and they're not listening to us. We voted for the thing. They should listen to us. So I personally am against the article, but I don't think we have much of a choice. But we do have to let them know that what we vote, they have to honor. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, Madam Moderator, open with Charlie.
Yes, thank you.
I'm sorry.
I forgot you were coming up.
Charlie Norton, Ocean Avenue. So what we've been told here is the school can do whatever it wants to do in the budget. I don't know what's in your wallet, but my wallet gets kind of straight at times at the end of the month. The school has to be told, you've got so much money, use it. If you, like I say, you have layoffs, you do. If they want to have layoffs, let's start at the top, the people make the most money. And then you go from there, and you'll save a lot of money for the school. But there's only so much money that goes around, and it has to be paid. And it should be 50% for the school from the taxes and 50% to the town to do stuff. But now you've got a school that runs rampant, can do anything they want. They could put 50 more teachers on next year, and you have to pay for it. You don't have a say or anything. So this is the only way you're going to be able to tell them. If the state comes in, we've only got so much money. If we can't pay it, let the state pay for it. They have mandated programs. They come in 4 or 5 years, or we don't have any money. You have to pick that program up. It's mandated. If they mandate it, they pay for it. But they don't want to. They hit and run. So it's in your wallet, it's in your tax bill, whatever comes out tonight. And the taxes will go up significantly. Thank you.
Most people don't,
name
Kurt Jacobson, Central Way. Most people don't like voting against certain items, but when you do have a limited income, it makes it harder for single people to be in this town. And when we voted no on Proposition 2.5, the budget was revised with cuts. So, in other words, Triton's still getting their asking price. And I don't think that's right. Because when you only make a limited income, it makes it harder to survive. I moved from one town, and now I'm paying the same price as I did 17 years ago in taxes. So, for somebody to be able to live in a nice community, I mean, taxes do go up, but for what reason? And that is, I do understand special needs students because I was one in an agricultural school. But, you know, to be one-on-one with a person does help. But when does the state kick in for the money that is owed to us, especially when we rebuild a track, we do a new roof for the school? We already have our own problems inside this town. As you already know about the water treatment plant, the school and the septic system has to be removed and replaced in another part of the school system. If we're doing beautification for that school, for Pine Grove, maybe we should cut out the trees and whatnot to help fund the rest of that budget for Pine Grove School. But in terms of teachers' wages, I think for Triton, I think there should be a hold. But if we, you know, I mean, it wasn't a few years ago, we just paid for a new track, a new roof for that school. And what is the percentage of each town in terms of expense? Because we got more students going there than other towns? Is that how it works? I would like to know.
Madam Moderator, we pay a percentage of Triton's budget based on the state formula, which takes into consideration the number of students from each town. This year, we're pretty much even in terms of how many students we have. We're pretty close to a third, and a third, which years ago we weren't. The only thing I can say is the bottom line here is, and believe me, the Finance Committee, I went to their meeting, they had a very detailed discussion. Board of Selectmen's had a very detailed discussion on what we should do and how we should do it. For the Board of Selectmen, the bottom line is this: the state's not going to bail us out. Whatever state aid we got, we got. We need to fund the Triton budget. If we do not pass this article tonight, more than likely, and I can't guarantee it, but as I said earlier, chances are we'll go on a 1/12 budget, and chances are that the Commissioner of Education will fund that 1/12 article based on either this budget we're voting on tonight, or they could go back to the budget we turned down at the override. So our destiny is in our hands. If we turn this article down tonight, we'll be back here in the fall trying to balance this budget again. And at that time, we'll still be doing cuts and still taking money from free cash. And the Board of Selectmen, and I'm sure the Finance Committee at this point, wants to put this budget and this town meeting process behind us. We have lots of projects and lots of things to do, and we want to get this done, fund the budget, and then we'll work on, as Larry, the chairman of the Finance Committee, said, we're worried about next year's budget. There's a lot of pay increases. They're going to be looking to take money back, and next year's budget is going to be as bad, if not worse, than the one that was presented to us by the schools this year. We need to get this out of the way, and we encourage people to go to the school committee. Don't come to the Board of Selectmen. Believe me, Joe Perry, for instance, and myself, and Larry, and some other people, we go to just about every school committee meeting and fight for the town budget and to keep the town finances down. We need citizens to write letters to the school committee, go to the school committee meetings, make sure they are aware of the budget process, and keep the budget within fair limits. We're looking for extra state aid, and the school committee, I know, is working hard on that. We're supporting them, but the state is not going to bail us out at this point. At this point, we need to vote this budget as we presented it so we can move on to the next step and then start worrying about next year's budget come later on in the summer. Thank you.
Marge, she's been up once. Why don't you come up and then you come up after her, all right?
Marjorie Densmore, Weathersfield Street, Rowley. I cannot believe the misconception in this room that the school committee does whatever they want. The school committee has already made several cuts in teachers and other staff members. In order to lower their budget for next year, they've eliminated a custodian from every school in the district. Does anybody know who's going to help take care of that? The state has never funded the regional school district the way they said they would when we regionalized. What we really need is to have people get active in town government, in state government. Write to your legislators, call your legislators. They were supposed to reimburse the schools 100% for transportation. They have never, ever done that, and it gets less every year. I have a question for the selectmen of the Finance Committee. I want to know how much the town has in free cash. According to the State Department of Revenue's website, the state has $2 million in certified free cash. Is that correct or incorrect? That's what the state has on their website as of this March.
Madam Moderator, if I may, I'll break down the free cash. It'll take me a minute. I got a half a page to read, if that's acceptable.
You want to hear that, right?
It's certified as $2 million on the State Department of Revenue's website as of March of this year. Is that true or false?
It's true. And I'm going to explain it.
Okay.
The FY17 free cash was certified at $2,022,917. That was done in the spring. This was an unusually high number, and the free cash varies every year. Some years we've had almost none, other years we've had more. This was an exceptionally high year. The economy's improved. The building permit fees were estimated at $180,000, but the actual income from the building fees was $500,000. This was due to the large commercial development applications on Route 1, such as biolabs, if you've looked at Ipswich Bay Glass. This is a one-time revenue. We don't get it back again next year. The actual motor vehicle excise taxes came in at $1,063,000, and the estimate was originally $815,000, so that extra money goes into free cash. We also had unexpended FY17 budget lines due to unfilled positions and balances in expense budgets. We used $865,000 of that $2 million in the FY19 budget. We used an additional $224,450 in the April 30th, 2018 special town meeting. The total amount used is $1,089,450. That leaves in free cash currently the amount of $933,467. Free cash is a one-time revenue, and the town's financial advisors have said to us that using no more than 50% of the free cash in the operating budget is a good fiscal practice. The use of free cash to plug a hole in the budget is not as good practice and can affect the town's bond rating. Understanding that when we use free cash to fill a hole in the budget, that's not reoccurring next year. We have to come back and look for that money again. The town still has $20 million more dollars to borrow between the Pine Grove School project and the police and fire station project. Standard & Poor's has rated the town at AA+, which is a very good rating, and which gives us a lower interest rate, which is critical over the next 20 years those loans are in effect. The concern right now between the Finance Committee, and Larry mentioned it before, and the Board of Selectmen is very concerned about it, is the town should be, what the impact of the 2020 Triton assessment will be for the town. We may be faced with a significant budget reduction next year. And going back to the history of free cash, for some reason or other, the amount of free cash we've had to put into Triton started to increase in FY13 when it increased by $74,000. FY14, it only increased by $9,000. All of a sudden in FY15, we had to put $181,600 in from free cash into the school budget. FY16, it was $185,000 added to the school budget. FY17, it jumped from $185 up to $284,998 that we had to use to supplement the Triton budget. FY18, we had to supplement the Triton budget with $256,159. That's why the Board of Selectmen feels it's imperative that we maintain an adequate carryover of free cash, because we have no idea what next year's school budget's going to be, and we don't want to be cutting services down to the bone. We don't have a lot of services to begin with. FY19, in the original budget, which was proposed by the school committee, which was voted down previously, they wanted $499,000 out of our free cash. So free cash is not free. It gets expended in a way that benefits the schools and has benefited the schools now for the last 6 or 7 years. So just to transfer all our free cash into the school budget every year does us no good. We just get further and further behind the 8 ball. This was an anomaly this year to have the $2 million. It's never happened before. It's probably never going to happen again. But thank God we had it, because it gives us the ability to help fund this year's budget, do some things for the town and the town side of the budget, and we're setting aside the $900,000 to use towards next year's budget so that we hopefully won't have to make any major cuts in next year's budget while still being able to fund at least a portion of that for the Triton budget. So we're walking a fine line, a balanced line here. We're not hoarding money. We're not going out and just grabbing money anywhere we can. Like I said, like I've read here, we had a lot of the good economy gave us people buying. All you people that bought new cars out there, you helped our free cash. We had a lot of building going on Route 1. As you go out to see Ipswich Bay Glass, they've been adding facilities out there right and left, which adds to our free cash. Keep in mind that when Schilling Toy moved earlier this year, we lost $95,000 in actual tax money when they moved out of town, because the Peabody Museum took over that building and they don't pay property taxes. So it's a give and take. Every year we never know for sure what we're going to have for free cash. We've been very fortunate this year, because if we didn't have all this free cash this year, we probably would have had to actually lay off town employees. So we're trying to fund the school. As I read you these numbers, from previous years. Every year, we've put a substantial amount of free cash into the school budget over and above what we were able to raise under Prop 2.5. We're continuing to do that. We're not fighting against the school, but we're just letting you know that the budget process is an intricate process. It's a balancing act, and I'm pretty proud of the way the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee has handled it to this point, and with the free cash that's left, we're going to use towards next year's town meeting, and that's why we want you to support these articles tonight so that we can move on to the budget and start talking about next year's budget.
Madam Moderator.
I thank you for the explanation.
You're welcome.
And the point I'm trying to make is, to pass this budget tonight does not leave the town destitute. There's also a bit of a double standard I would like to point out from my historical perspective in my many years on the school committee, both before Prop 2.5 and after. There was a time that the regional school had a fund called the Excess and Deficiency Fund, and it was the town fathers in all three towns that wanted the Triton Regional School District to use all their E&D money to be applied to the budget, so they have no cushion left anymore. But the town still has their free cash. It's a bit of a double standard, and I just think the town will not be destitute. None of the departments are going to be destitute if we pass this budget tonight. I thank the selectmen and the finance committees for coming up with the solution so that we can do that and move on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Again, Sonia Vincola, Boxford Road. While I understand that the school budget is the largest budget for the town, and the increase is also the largest line item, I don't understand why there is all this scrutiny on the school budget, yet nobody's asking about the $150,000 increase in wages to the police and $50,000 increase wages to the fire department. I don't know how many of you have ever worked in a school. I have, and like all town offices, they run on a no-frills budget. And I just, this budget does not reflect of offering these children more than what they need, but providing them the basics of what they need.
Madam Moderator.
All right.
Just to briefly repeat, for the police department,
Speaking to the mic.
we have contract raises, which we had a fund for the police department and all town employees. We give the employees got 2.5% this year. In the last 2 or 3 years, they've gotten 2.25% per year, which is not an excessive raise. We did add money for a police sergeant. We have 2 sergeants on the police department. That means one shift goes without a supervision, a sergeant out in the road. We have a lot of new young police officers, and they need supervision. If things aren't done right, we're going to get sued, and we'll pay big time in a lawsuit if something goes wrong. We need supervision within the police department to have a good police department. And we have an excellent police department. We want to maintain that. On the fire department issue, the reason why the large increase was there, was part of it was we gave them a 2.25% pay increase like everybody else got. And we decided that the fire chief has been coming into us every year for the past, well, the past 6 years that I've been on this board. He's come in looking for additional firefighters. And the problem is, we have 2 full-time firefighters and the chief. And the problem is that the rest of the firefighters are call. We have 24, 25 call firefighters. Most of them work out of town. Most of them have full-time jobs, oftentimes on weekends and nights. You're lucky if you get 2 firefighters responding to a call, and sometimes that's the chief, because the firefighters are either out of town, on vacation, not available to come in because they got their full-time jobs. There's any number of reasons why they can't make it. The town has grown in the time that I've been here, it's doubled in size. When I moved to town, it was 3,000 people. Now it's well over 6,000. With time, we need 2 more full-time firefighters to make sure that when you call 911 and want an adequate police response or an adequate fire response, that there's someone that will be there. If you have a fire in your house and 2 firefighters show up, your house is in trouble, and maybe you're in trouble if people are inside the house. So this is the balancing act I talked about. We have to balance the budget, number one. We have to fund the schools, which we've done every year. So the school's got to make some reductions. We make reductions too. If I asked every town department, what would you like to have in your budget, they're all going to tell me, oh, I need 2 more people, I need this, I need that, I need something else. The selectmen and the finance committee sit here and go over each budget. And if the increase isn't justified or doesn't fit within the 2.5 increase, they don't get it. So we're trying to balance this whole budget, keep everything going, pay for the schools. Like I say, the evidence from the last few years is the schools, they may fight, we may have our disagreements with them, but we funded their budget every year. And it's not just Rowley. You got Triton is made up of Rowley, Salisbury, and Newbury. And Salisbury has even a worse problem than we do, and I'm not sure how they're going to settle that. But we have an opportunity tonight to settle the school budget, which is what they asked for. That's what they reduced it, but that's what they're asking for. We have an opportunity to use some of our free cash and have set aside some more so we can balance the budget next year. At the same time, it'll take a little time, but we'll get our 2 additional firefighters, we'll get our additional sergeant in the police department, we'll get some additional money for the snow budget, we'll have some money to cut trees. There's all kinds of different priorities that we try to work into the budget. So I'm just asking you, I don't like disagreeing with my friends and neighbors out there, but we've worked hard to make this budget balanced, keep everybody happy, which is what this budget does, and we need to move on after that.
Okay, seeing no more questions, I'm going to,
Didi, Charlie?
oh, Charlie, sorry.
Charlie Norton, Ocean Avenue. As far as the fire department budget is, yes, things get expensive and so forth. I joined the department. I was on it for 21 years as a volunteer fireman. I started at $3 a call, and when I ended, I got $11 a call. So it wasn't for the money to go in there. I did it for community service and so forth. But getting back to Triton, the budget, if you don't control it, it's going to come back and it's going to bite you. And it's like a piranha. Once it sinks its teeth into you, you'll never get rid of it. Now, years ago, people remember when Ronald Reagan was president, he gave out 7 flags in the whole country. Pine Grove got 1 for excellency. We had Dr. Sue King here. Well, she left, and the following year she went to New Jersey. We had a new principal come in. She wanted more money. The town wouldn't give it to her, so she wouldn't fly the flag. Excellent. And the state turned around and says, you've got to increase the spending per child of $4,000 extra. Well, the state can come in and say it, but if you don't have the money, you can't pay the bills. And if the state is not funding what they're supposed to fund, then that's the time to tell the state, you don't have a say. If you want to fund the transportation, you want to fund programs that's mandated, then tell them to pay the bills. Why do we have to pick up after the state runs? That's the time to see the legislature, because they want to spend money on everything but what they should spend money on. So it's time now to call in and say no more for Triton. I know, my wife's been a teacher for 28 years, and she knows. Some teachers got a 0.5% raise, which put them in the next bracket, and they brought home less money than they worked the previous year. But the superintendent and the high ones always get 7, 8, 9, 10% increase. Sometimes you have to stop it. If the teacher's got a 0.5%, the superintendent should get a 0.5%. And that's only fair. So we have to live within our budgets and our means. So that's the way it is. Thank you.
All right, John. Okay, 3 times. Okay. No, well, we'll see. All right, I'm going to, I believe we've discussed this enough. I'm hoping everybody has made up their mind. I'm going to call for possibly a unanimous vote. If not, we will do a paper ballot and we'll move on to the other articles. I just feel that we've talked about this for almost 40 minutes. I believe that, I do not know if anybody's changed their mind or whatever, but I'm going to try this. If it works, fine. If not, we will do a paper ballot. All right, all those in favor of Article 2 as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Well,
You got to do a paper.
in fairness to the noes that I heard, we will do a paper ballot. I'm sorry we're going to be here a little bit longer. My counters, can you please come forward? No, that's not fair. Yes, I understand, but in fairness to them, this is the right way to do it. May not be the way that we're all happy. It's hot in here, I understand. Yes.
Oh, yeah, he knows.
Are you gonna let people vote? Then while they copy, you can stand up. You get shot at people walking around while they're voting.
Obviously, a CTO.
Patriotic clocks.
Came with the early voting.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
While they're counting the votes, we will move on to the other articles, so hopefully there will be not major discussion and we'll be able to get out of here within a timely manner. Sue?
You want to move that bucket over?
Yes, Dave.
No, I just said, you want to move the bucket over, right? No, I'm just checking.
I want everything, yes. All right, we're going to do this in a systematical way. I want to make sure everybody has a green paper ballot with a yes or a no on it. Rip it in half. However you're going to vote is going to go into this box here, and the other half will go into the waste basket. And we're going to start on this side as soon as I know everybody has their paper ballots. Yes. Has the counters, have you all passed them out? Do you have your paper ballots? Any, the people outside, do they, the table people? Okay, all right. Sue, is everybody ready? Yes. Have all the counters got a paper ballot also? You are residents of the town. All right, I'm going to start with this side first. Please come up in an orderly fashion. Put it in the slot and you throw the other half out. It goes up and around.
Mark, that wasn't Newbury Road, it wasn't.
That was a new road, the lightning strike, he has to ask. No, just...
Oh, really? The house getting together. Yeah, it was this top of the tree that got hit before. Probably didn't just get put down. Oh, really? But they never fixed the houses before, did they?
Like where they're deciding, well,
Well, we had a lot of discussion. No, it's going to pass. Yeah, there was a bunch of people said that was got to pay the back so everybody can't be accused. I got some medical I end up there. It's fair. Yeah, no, good, yeah, thank you. What? He said it was the same house across the police station that got the tree knocked down. Back to they hadn't fixed it for the winter damage.
Pre-presidential or whatever.
The tree blew over
All right.
and landed on the house. Really? Yeah, and then the lightning struck and forget where it was.
Hi, guys.
Oh, Emily Lane. The lightning struck the house. Well, no, those houses have been there for 5 years.
Now,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask for this side in the same manner to please come up and go back this way, please. And then we'll do the tables here. Thank you.
Hey, Mo, how you doing? I see your name in the paper again, eh? All right, whatever it is. Good job. He just won't give up. He just won't give up.
Okay. Once the last of these are in, we're going to have them counted, and we'll proceed with the other articles, and as soon as the results are in, I'll give you the vote. You guys all voted? All right.
Oh, okay, want me to second it? That's the one we like the best. Yeah. How you doing?
Yeah, we ought to vote on with our phone. We ought to vote with our phone.
Wouldn't work with mine.
Wouldn't work with my wife's either.
Yeah, we gotta wait. Yeah, you're right, Steve. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, I've been informed that we really cannot work on the next 3 articles till we know the outcome of this article. So, where we've got, I don't know, about 115 or 20 people, they will be working on this, so give them a few minutes, and hopefully it won't take too long, and we will know the results.
No.
He said no.
Could the counters come up to the front, please?
We need your signatures that you helped with the county.
Penalties of perjury.
Janet's who? I don't even know who I am anymore. Thank you.
I'll go back to my chair.
Thank you, Sue. All right. Okay. Here are the results of Article 2. Yes, 88, no, 19, for a total of 107 votes. So Article 2 passes, and we're going to move on to Article 3, 4, and 5. Thank you.
819.
Just bear with us. These should take only a couple of minutes. Article 3 is in order.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to rescind the vote on Article 23 of the April 30th, 2018 annual town meeting.
Second.
Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends this article.
There's a note down at the bottom on Article 20, for what Article 23 is. All those in favor of Article 23 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 3 passes.
820.
Article 4 is in order.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 to the Other Post-Employment Benefits Trust Fund, Retiree Health Insurance.
Second.
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Okay, are there any questions on Article 4? All those in favor of Article 4 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 4 passes. Article 5 is in order.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to rescind the vote on Article 24 of the April 30th, 2018 annual town meeting warrant.
Second.
Finance Committee recommends this article.
Okay, are there any questions on Article 5? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Article 5 passes.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
I move the town vote to adjourn the June 18, 2018 special town meeting.
Second.
That's good.
All those in favor of joining the special town meeting signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We're done. Hopefully, see you next May.